Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the weekly Dailey podcast. Today is Sunday, July 16th. I don't know, I said that like I was about to announce a boxing fight. July 16th. On the left corner is July 15th and the right corner is July 17th. They're about to fight and alright. We've started off on a terrible joke that isn't even a joke. Didn't even make sense. Didn't know what to say, but it's good to be here. It's been a nice weekend. We're fully in summer weather. I'm wearing my very limited wardrobe right now. I've got to do laundry today, and it's been, I'm really digging deep. I've got the cargo shorts on, some long tube socks, and a shirt that's making me feel sticky. It's got the graphic here, one of the graphics. It's a nice, I like the shirt, but I usually wear an undershirt. I don't know when I got in that habit. I used to never wear an undershirt under a t-shirt. I would just wear the t-shirt, but I've gotten in a habit for some reason, probably in the last 5 to 7 years, where I wear a t-shirt, a white t-shirt under a t-shirt, which is, especially during the summer, pretty stupid. I don't know why I do it. I do it when I go to sleep now. I used to just wear like boxers, but now I wear underwear and a shirt. Who knows why? I think that's part of maturing. You just start putting more clothes on. You just start covering yourself up more because you're an adult, and adults wear clothes. So maybe that's why. I don't know, but I'm low on laundry. Don't have a t-shirt on under this, so I can feel the graphic. But here we are. It's like 1 p.m. Might be after that. I'm not sure. And as I say every time I do the podcast, I go, hopefully we don't hear the noise from the pool. We got some adults in the pool now, which is okay. They like to just get their tans and listen to their headphones. But as soon as the kids come out, that's when things get wild. There's a lot of yelling, a lot of Marco Polo. Marco Polo, what a lame game. That's a game that was invented a long time ago. Nowadays, the kids are just on their phones. They're nonstop watching videos. They need that immediate attention. And, one of those old school games that stood the test of time, still around, Marco Polo. Just close your eyes and yell out Marco and Polo, and we'll do that for an afternoon. And I tell you what, boring game, even more boring to listen to from 15 feet away in my apartment. So to all those kids out there playing, get an iPad like a real child in this day and age and just zip the lips and listen up. Do some more listening. I'm going to tell them that. What if... It's funny, I've said it before, how I feel like an old man sometimes being right by the pool and a lot of commotion going on and just, sitting here being like, I want to go out there and be like, zip it up, people. But I don't. And I probably never would. Because I'm not good with confrontation. And that's just what it is, I don't know. I think you have it or you don't from a young age. You're either good at confrontation or you're not. And I'm sure practice could help. If I went out there and practiced being an old man telling people to zip it up, it might help a little bit, but I doubt it. I don't think I'd ever deliver it very... Also, it's unnecessary. It's one of those things that I get in my head, and I'm like, this is obnoxious, but also it's not their fault. They're just being kids or whatever. Like, it's not... I would look like a moron if I went out there and was like, why are you guys having fun? Would you cut out the fun? It's too much. But, we're in summer. It's Sunday. Got a lot of errands and things to do today before the week starts tomorrow. But looking forward to it. I got a lot of fun stuff coming up. I've been doing a decent amount of stuff. Last weekend, I did the podcast that came out last week with Jeremy Cash, good friend, very funny comedian, and did a dual podcast. Let me know, guys, in the comments. Is that something you like? Do you like just the conversation, having a guest in general? Do you like more conversation? Do you like more funny content, just let me know. Let me know in whether it's Spotify uh, or YouTube, which are the two platforms that I do this on. Let me know in the comments what you guys like, what you didn't like, the format. I feel like I always say this, but it's usually at the end of the podcast, which most people probably don't make it to. So I'm going to say it early. Leave those comments. But I've got an itch in my nose. If you're watching, kind of picking at my nose awkwardly, it's, something's in there. What are in noses? Boogers. Boogers are in noses, and I'll tell you what about boogers. There's a video from a long time ago. It was a little redheaded child who sneezed and had snot come out, and he goes, "Boogers. I have boogers." And I say that phrase every single time there's any sort of context of boogers on the horizon. I say it. I think it's hilarious. Apparently nobody else has seen that video. Or maybe, maybe it's just not funny in general. Maybe they've seen it, they get it, but they don't want to hear it. But I use it all the time. No one gets it. No one seems to get it. But that's most of my jokes, if I'm being honest. Most of my jokes are what some might call anti-jokes. I say something, I try to be silly about it, and people go, "You got to leave. You're out of the group now." And you just do that until you have no friends anymore, and then you just, start a solo podcast like I did. But a little bit about what's going on this summer. Last couple weeks, not as many shows going on. Had a couple shows get canceled and rescheduled, which has been fine. I've been out at the open mics and hanging out at some shows, working through some new material. Need to do some more writing to kind of prep for the upcoming week or two to work through some new stuff. But I think the last thing I did, I guess the last show I did might have been New Faces, the competition at Comedy Works. Did that on July 5th, day after July 4th. Was wondering if many people would be there. And there was a decent crowd. It was a good crowd. I did not advance to the next round, which, any competition you want to advance. But I'll tell you this. It's my fourth competition to date. I've never advanced in any of them. But this is the first competition that I went in with a mindset of kind of knowing or going in saying, go in with this mindset and whatever happens, happens. And that mindset was, go do what you know you can do. Go do the jokes that you have. Go do those and feel comfortable and present in the moment. And if I do that, then nothing else matters. My goal is to go try to do the best that I can do and then let the cards fall where they may. And I felt like I did that. I felt very comfortable in the moment, present. And at the end of the day, it didn't go through. And that's okay because I felt good about it. And so I didn't leave the club going, man, I should have done this, XYZ, and then being real bummed out. I felt like I went and did what I went there to do. And at the end of the day, it wasn't good enough. And that gives me motivation to get better, and I appreciate those things, whether it's not moving on in a competition, whether it's getting rejected from a festival, whether it's, you name it. There's a million things where there's rejection or you're not advancing, you're seeing others advance, whatever the case is. That's comedy, that's life. And the more that I've done it, the more I've come to peace with that's what it is. And you can take it two ways. You can either cry about it and you can be bitter and then you can just hate everything and that's not fun. Or you can take it as motivation and a learning experience and go, got to get better. And I will get better. And next time it comes around, I'll be more prepared. And you just keep doing that until, opportunities start popping up, whether it's getting through the competition or whether it's whatever. So I'm excited about just every learning experience through the whole process of comedy. And also I think it's made maybe a little bit easier to kind of have a little bit better balance in mindset because of kind of the health transition I've been working on over the last month. We're a couple days from 4 weeks since I went cold turkey, just eating turkey. No, I went cold turkey on all bad food. I literally have eaten nothing but basically raw organic meats, vegetables. I'll have quinoa as a grain. Apples are the only thing I'm having as far as natural sugars, basically. Apples and peanut butter. And absolutely no sugar, candy, processed food, none of that. I mentioned in previous podcasts how I just wasn't feeling well, and I'm very excited about getting my body back in check, my mind back in check, and I felt it on stage. At Comedy Works for the competition, but also in general, being on stage, being more present, being able to be my silly, goofy self, and just have fun. And at the end of the day, that's why I started comedy, because that is just kind of who I am as a person. But if I'm not feeling healthy mentally as a person, then I'm feeling not quite like that. You're kind of feeling like I don't want to be the center of attention. I feel uncomfortable and anxious and blah, blah, blah. A million things there. So really excited to be more even keel and keep myself in check with diet, with exercise. I've been running more. Went hiking yesterday. Went hiking with a buddy, also a comedian, and did a 10-mile hike in, where was it? Schaefer's Crossing, I think. It was 45 minutes from Denver, not too far, but a nice solid hike. Temperatures were great. There were some people on the trail. It wasn't too busy though. So a good, I guess it's my second hike of the year. The first one was 8 miles. This is 10 miles. I think then I'm going to maybe try to do Pikes Peak here in a couple weeks. So yeah, just getting outside, getting some vitamin D, getting some mileage in, doing some running, eating healthy, trying to balance sleep. I'm back to reading, which, wow, you guys, man, I think everybody forgot about that. When I first started the podcast, I was like, I'm going to talk about comedy, then I'm going to talk about a book I've read. And then I went about 2 episodes into the podcast, and then I quit reading for quite a while. I didn't quit, but boy, was I not doing much of it. So back to reading. I finished the book that I was on that probably took me 2-3 months. Is the three body problem, which is forgive me. The author is Chinese. I forget their name, but it's a sci-fi, I guess science fiction, I guess it would be, about, it's about aliens but it's a very different, it's a very unique plot. So it was interesting, but I will say that when you read a book 20 pages every 2 weeks, and then, it takes months to finish, it's tough you're kind of patching together memories of what's going on in the book. So probably would have been better to read it quicker, but finished it. I ordered some new books, ordered 3 John Steinbeck books. I had nostalgia as I was finishing the 3 Body Problem book of reading previous John Steinbeck books that I was reading a year or 2 ago that I really enjoyed and that really connected with my brain. And I was like, you know what? Let's get some of those books and just get back to that, feeling, I don't know, my brain connected with his way of writing. So got 3 books, got To a God Unknown, which I'm currently reading, almost finished with. It's pretty short. It's only 180 pages. So, and then I got The Wayward Bus or something like that. And then something Trips Around the USA with Charlie or something. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But let me know if you guys have any recommendations. I've said this in the past. Any recommendations on books, let me know. Also, if you've read John Steinbeck, the books I've just mentioned, or any others, let me know. He's basically the only author that I've done somewhat of a deep dive into. any other author, with the exception of probably Harry Potter, I haven't read more than one of that person's book. But with Steinbeck, I've read East of Eden, Grapes of Wrath, Of Mice and Men, Tortilla Flat, Winter of Our Discomfort, or The Winter of Our Discontent, or something like that. I don't know. I've read maybe close to half a dozen. So he's an author that, like I said, his writing seems to connect with my brain. And with this day and age and social media and all the need for constant, just dopamine in our stupid heads, it's nice to kind of get back to reading, and meditative in a sense. I've gotten the apps off my phone, at least Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, really, really trying to commit and looking forward to moving forward, being more balanced and healthy, and having that translate not only in life and work, but to comedy. Speaking of comedy, a lot of fun stuff coming up. Like I said, it hasn't been super busy the last couple weeks. I did the competition July 5th. After that, I've had mostly open mics and gone to kind of just hang out at shows. But I guess of note, haven't done what's been fun the last couple weeks. Just kind of your regular mics, working out with some new material. Last night, which was Saturday, I went to a show followed by an open mic at Battery 621. It's like this co-working space that shows run there. And I think somebody who works in the co-working space is also affiliated with like a live streaming comedy app. So they're filming it with like high-end cameras and microphones. So that's kind of a neat setup. It's set up very professionally. Taylor Swift is currently in town, so I think the ticket sales were a little lower than usual, since everybody apparently goes to the Taylor Swift concert. I don't know. You know what? Before I talk about the show, and Mike, I do have some opinions and thoughts on Taylor Swift and artists in general. And you know what? This might upset some people. It shouldn't. But I feel like I've tried to explain it a couple times to people, at least the thoughts in my head. And I don't think I'm a great communicator, because I think it just kind of made some people upset. And they're like, I think I kind of explained it as like, if you're a Taylor Swift fan, you're dumb, which is not the point. To each their own. Taylor Swift's fine. You know what? Back almost a decade ago, Bad Blood would come on, and I would dance a little bit. Most of the time I was in the car, so I'd head bob probably, but that was my go-to song. I'll be honest. Bad Blood. I think that was about Katy Perry. Not a huge fan of Katy Perry, but Taylor Swift, Bad Blood. Great song. She had multiple versions, her own version, then one with, I think, Kendrick Lamar. Both great. Music video, pretty good. Check it out. YouTube probably has 50 billion views. But my point that I was trying to talk about with Taylor Swift is the ticket prices. Okay, if you're not familiar, she came, so she's doing like a world, I don't know if it's a world tour or if it's a U.S. tour, but she's in Denver. She was in Denver Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so I guess that would be July 13th, 14th, 15th, something like that. And she's all over, and the big thing that's in the news or whatever you can see easily is just the ticket prices are ridiculous. I think the cheapest ticket prices, if you bought them before they sold out and then were resold, was probably $400 or $500 for just terrible seats. And then now, if like when people are reselling those same nosebleeds, it was like $1,500. And I don't even want to know or take a look at what the closer up seats were. They were probably $20,000 just so you could see Taylor Swift not from the Jumbotron. You're like, oh my gosh, I see her with my own eyes. $20,000 to, take a picture with my phone that's not grainy from zooming in. But that was a big news thing about how pricey it was. And my whole point and argument and opinion is I think it's stupid for artists to... Okay, let me back up. This I'm already realizing this is not going to make sense. I'm not going to communicate it, and everybody's going to be like, you're dumb. And you know what? That's your opinion, and you're probably right. But Taylor, what she said is, I don't control the ticket prices. That is, I think, Live Nation, who I guess basically is in charge of the ticketing for these massive events at massive venues, like a lot of venues. And that's fine. I get that. I understand that. But my whole thing is, if you are an artist, don't point the finger at, it's not me, it's them. I have no say in it, because it's like, look, you are one of the biggest superstars on the planet. You do have a say, okay? And if you're actually upset about the ticket prices and you want more fans to have the access to come see you and not spend their life savings, then you can just say, you know what? I'll go to a different venue where Live Nation isn't in charge and price gouging. Or I will negotiate with Live Nation, given that I'm one of the biggest superstars on the whatever. Like, and again, if it's fine, capitalism, if you want to make a ton of money and part of that is Live Nation charging a lot and you get a lot, that's fine. But don't make the excuse of, well, I can't do anything about it. It's not up to me. It's up to somebody else. It's like, well, no. If you wanted to do something about it, you could. You for sure could. And I think it's you can't have it both ways. You can't point the finger at Live Nation and say I have zero ability to change these things. You do. Even if that's, Live Nation's charging $500, and you go, okay, well, I made $50 billion on this tour. Everybody who buys a ticket, I'll give you $100 rebate or whatever. That's, nobody's going to do that. But you have so much money. I don't want to hear it. Okay. I was talking about it last night. The most expensive concert I think I paid like $70 to go to see Jack's Mannequin or Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness at the Fillmore in Denver. And that's steep. Okay, $500. Get out of here, dude. Are you kidding me? $500. Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift came to my college, Radford University, in 2007, which is funny. That was right after her debut, I believe, album, her most country album, whatever that first one was. And she played for, I'm pretty sure the tickets were free. The college paid for it. If not, there's no way they were more than $15 or $20 a pop. I did not go. Should have gone just to be like, I saw Taylor Swift. I don't need to pay $500. I already saw her when we were both 18. My roommate went. He saw her. He was a big fan. He was 6'6", real tall and skinny. Christopher, if you're listening, which, he's not. Good dude. Bad taste in music. Not really. He's just more of a country guy. I'm not a big country person. Grew up around a lot of country. Don't care for it too much. People will ask me what my music taste is, what my favorite type of music is, and I feel bad because every time people ask me that, honestly, I don't have a specific answer. It's kind of, I listen to a collection of everything, and I'll kind of go in phases, and in those phases, when I'm trying to like go back to, I think a lot of us go back to music that we listened to and enjoyed in our youth during the ages of like 15 to 22. And when I go back to those core days, you're looking at pop, punk, rock from that era. I'll name a handful of bands. So from that era, Blink-182, Red Hot Chili Peppers, big influences just on my music taste, but also, playing guitar and wanting to learn guitar. Then you got, I went and saw Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness, who used to be Jack's Mannequin, who used to be Something Corporate. You got Coldplay. You got just kind of those genres during that time period. I mean, there's a million other bands, but that's kind of in the pop punk rock genre. But more recently, I've been listening, especially when I go run, to Atreyu, which I haven't listened to a ton in the past, but I used to listen to and like Atreyu back in my college days. They had The Right Side of the Bed, I think was their big song, and enjoyed them. And they have a bunch, I mean, they've been putting out a bunch of good music. Becoming the Bull, there's a new song that just came out called Gone. Very much like that music. Been listening to that to run, kind of heavier music. I'll listen to, some of the new electronic, dubstep, trance, whatever, for running, or sometimes just to listen and think. I guess you don't think too much when it's, the dubstep. Your brain's kind of melting a little bit. But just as like a background thing, maybe, if I'm just like trying to accomplish some basic task, laundry, whatever, listen to that. John Butler Trio, kind of acoustic, pop, folk type music. Not a big fan of country. Metal, not a huge fan of metal. There's certainly some songs that I'll listen to, but as a whole, not the biggest fan. What else? I don't know. I'll listen to just a bunch of random stuff. There's a ton of songs. So yeah, I don't know how I got into this. I think I was talking about what I like to listen to when people ask. I guess rap. I used to listen to rap during high school, college days. Not as much rap anymore. I'm not a huge fan of. I feel like rap has morphed, and I know that everything's morphed into branches, but I feel like a lot of rap that I hear, I'm not even familiar with it because it's like morphed from like rapping to kind of like this auto-tuned electronic combination thing, which is fine too. I'm not super familiar like with a lot of the artists, a lot of times you see people, a lot of these rappers are dying at young ages from, drug overdoses or whatever the case is. And it'll be an artist that I've just never heard. It's kind of hard to, I get more and more where my parents came from as far as like, you just at a certain point, you go, I don't have time to learn all the new artists. Now, I don't care. I've got other things going on. I feel the same way with the slang of today. I've given up. I'm done with it. Okay. I used to think my parents were so, like lame when they didn't understand the language that I would be using as a middle schooler or whatever, just slang, and be like, you don't know? What are you, a square? But now, I mean, I hear kids, I guess I'm not around a lot of high schoolers, but a lot of like comedian friends that I have are teachers, or maybe they have siblings, or, some comics themselves are 18, 19, 20, 21. I mean, you get people from all age ranges, and you hear the slang, and it's like, I have no idea what this means, and I honestly do not care to learn. And I think that's when you've, back to me feeling like an old man, want to tell people out at the pool to zip it up. It's the same thing. People are like, no cap, and I'm like, that's not in the dictionary. Don't say that. Say words that people can look up and people understand. And you know what? Maybe you guys like that new. I mean, I gave up. I'll tell you when I gave up. This is the day and the moment and the slang word that when I gave up on it is when on fleek came. I don't know when that came in. That might have been 5+ years ago probably. But I remember that being trying to put, like, people pushing on fleek. You got to say on fleek. And ever since then, I said, no. I'm not shortening words anymore. I'm speaking proper English, okay? I'm going to enunciate everything. I'm going to text everything, okay? No BRBs. Be right back. I'm saying it all. LOL. Laugh out loud. Haha. It's already spelled out. Don't have to do anything with that. Okay, but on fleek came out. I said, no more. Then Andrew Schultz, he was like, oh, fam, what's up, fam? No. I don't say that, okay? Fam. Don't like it. Family, if you're going to say it, and that doesn't sound good, so you wouldn't say that anyways. What's up, family? No. And then, there's a million things. All I can think of right now are on fleek, fam, no cap. Hate them all. If we're talking, do not use those, okay? I'll take that as a direct threat and I will leave the conversation. Anyways, back to what I was talking about a second ago, which is Battery 621, the show on Saturday, which was yesterday. I was not on the show, but they have a mic immediately following. So it's cool to kind of just go watch the show. They have the camera go on and a nice setup. And also it's a kind of cool setup that's open enough to where you can kind of go hang and talk and mingle with the comics or the people there, and just chat and catch up. I saw some comics I haven't seen in a minute. Got to catch up and talk to them, which is always good. And then I did the open mic, and there's only a handful of people there. But again, back to healthy eating, being more mentally healthy, physically healthy, allows me to be more in the moment. And I'm starting to get back to feeling comfortable, present in the moment, which I've done comedy, coming up on 5 years. It's not the longest time. I'm still very new when you look at people who do comedy, especially as a career. So by no means am I under the assumption of I've figured it out, I have nowhere to go. It's like, no, I'm a baby and I've got so much to learn. But with that said, about 2 or 3 years into comedy, I started feeling very present and comfortable on stage and able to just be myself on stage very consistently. And I think due to being unhealthy in the way I've eaten and just a combination of things over the last year or two, I've lost that consistency where, sometimes it would happen. Other times I just feel not great. So it feels good to be trending back towards that. And again, I keep saying I'm excited, but I am very excited to continue to improve without excuses, continue to improve in just the healthiest mindset and healthiest mentals, physicals that I have to move forward, learn, grow without excuses of, well, maybe I didn't eat well, I didn't do this, blah, blah, blah. So that's good. I'm happy with just in the last month eating healthy and kind of feeling that. And, I think that'll translate into making hosting a lot more easy, because hosting's a little more pressure to be present, smile, not be anxious, things like that. So, yeah, got some fun stuff cooking in the future. Did that open mic, and then today I'm probably just going to do errands, do this. Golf, there's a golf thing I was wanting to watch. There's a YouTuber. He's a PGA Tour golfer, but he also does YouTube videos, and I've been following him, and he's in a tournament, but they're not broadcasting it except on the Golf Channel. I don't have cable. Long story short, probably won't be able to see that, but have been following him on like the apps, the updates on that. Got to do laundry, going to try to write some. And then this week, coming up, I've got the Rise Comedy Festival. That'll be Friday and Saturday, the 21st and 22nd of July. I'll be hosting a show at Rise, I think 9 o'clock on Friday, the 21st, and then doing a show at Wide Right, just doing a spot on the 22nd. And that should be fun. I'm excited for that. The 23rd, the Sunday, next Sunday, 1 week from today, is my birthday. I will be turning 35. What, I look like I'm 12 still, but I'm a full man. I'm 5 years from being over the hill or on the hill or Hank Hill from King of the Hill. I don't know. Whatever hill people talk about when you turn that age, whatever that means. But not there yet. Just mid-30s and just working it out. trying to get better at comedy, pursue this thing that I enjoy doing. So I've got that next week, and then the following weekend, I'll be in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the Blue Whale Comedy Festival. That, again, keep saying excited, but I'm very excited for that. Not only to go back to Tulsa, it's a fun city. I've been there before. Excited to do a show down there. Excited to meet a bunch of people down there. I mean, the people on the festival, very funny. The headliners. Looking forward to just mingling, networking, getting to meet people. And then when I come back from that, I'll be on a family vacation. Family is finally coming to Colorado. It'll be about 5 years here, and finally family coming to visit. So we'll be hanging out Colorado Springs area, doing a bunch of stuff during the week. I'm sure hiking and whatnot, different activities. Get to see all the nephews and nieces and brother and sister-in-laws and parents. So looking forward to that. And then, August is going to be another fun month. I've got a couple shows that I'm producing. It's been a minute since I've produced multiple shows in a month, but I'll be producing a couple new shows in August and then going back on the road through the Midwest. To do a handful of clubs and run through the Midwest with a couple good buddies. So the summer should be fun. And then September, another festival in Montana, the Last Best Comedy Festival. So I'm very, very much looking forward to the rest of the summer. Health, wealth, not so much wealth, but health and comedy and funny stuff. I'm trying to think of other interesting stuff that I've watched. If I've watched anything interesting or any other interesting stuff going on. I can't remember if I said this in the beginning of the podcast, but I thought that 3 days ago when I came home from Monkey Barrel, the open mic, I mean, I'm not even saying this jokingly. I parked in my parking lot, and I was like, I see a UFO. I saw a hovering craft with lights, and I pulled in. I said, "That's a UFO. I'm witnessing history. This is a historic event that will be talked about years to come." Ben Dailey witnessed a UFO. I pulled my phone out. It started moving slowly. I filmed it. I zoomed in. Lights are flashing. Okay, it's moving slowly in a direct, and people are in their parking lot and they're just doing their own business. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I can't believe people aren't. This is history. They're not gonna witness history together with me. Why people's phones aren't out? This is wild. And so I stood outside for a while and watched it go off in the distance. And then I went into my apartment, and I'm not kidding you when I say I went on Twitter. I went on Nextdoor. I was searching Denver UFOs. I was going to local news channels, and I was like, certainly any moment the hashtags will explode. People are going to be talking about this. And I pulled the video up to look at it again, and I rewatched it, and I was like, that's a helicopter. I was like, that's 100% a helicopter. I was kind of upset at my stupidity, because at no moment as I was filming or looking did I have the thought this could be a helicopter, which is so foolish, because it was 100%, the movement, the lights. But here's the deal. Here's why I don't think I connected the dots when I was filming it and looking at it, because it was silent. There was no, you usually hear propellers, you hear it, but I heard nothing. And I don't know if, I don't know. It was one of those stupid things. That's very few. I'm very intrigued with the UFO stuff. And I do think that there are, whether it's alien or not, I think it's probably alien, because if it's not, if it's like military stuff and they're so far advanced, especially as you go way back into time in the 1900s when stuff is being seen. It's like, I don't think there's going to be technology that our military has that allows things to move without propulsion at like just unbelievable speeds, things like that. Maybe though. But that is something that interests me, and I think I got ahead of myself and was like, we're witnessing. I'm going to be on the news. I'm going to have a hot podcast talking about UFOs that gets 17 views instead of 7. Whoa, dude. I'm going to pop off with subscribers. I'm not sure if you guys can hear, but the kids are now in the pool. They're splashing. They're doing cannonballs. And, you know, I don't like it. But here we are. We're getting close to the end here. Again, back to just to kind of tie up this episode with some book talk, if I may. I've got the book here that I'm currently reading, To a God Unknown, John Steinbeck. It's I think it's his second novel, but it's I think the first novel he started working on. I think it took him like 5 years to write. It's pretty short. It's 180 pages. I'm almost finished. You know, like I said, I connect with his writing. The way he writes really forms a picture in my head more so than other authors, and I it helps bring things to life and connects with my brain a little bit more, so I do like that. As far as the book itself, it's fine. I mean, I've liked it fine. I think it's the beginning of the book, there was like 20 or 30 pages of an introduction. It was essentially just talking about this book coming to fruition, kind of where it stemmed from, the plot, the idea, all the way to all the rejections from publishers that Steinbeck would take it to, and they'd say no, and then he'd edit and reformat and take it, and they'd say no. And he went through a bunch of renditions, and it was interesting reading how he did all those edits and changes, and he talked about and would write letters to friends and people who were helping him edit, how he's like obsessing over this, and it's actually like it's putting him through kind of unnecessary struggles, but similar to comedy, he talks about, he's like, I know I have to suffer in order to put something better out and in order to improve as an author, and I want to do that. And it was I usually skip the introduction. I see the introduction, and I saw this one, and I was like, 30 pages before I get to page 1? Are you kidding me? That's stupid. But I read it because I was curious to learn a little bit more about the backstory. But it is an interesting story. Haven't got to the end, but the introduction kind of spoiled the end. It kind of told what's going to happen in the end, so I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen. But once I finish that, I think I'm going to go to The Wayward Bus, which is another one of his. I'm not sure when that one was written, but To a God Unknown came out 1933, I believe. Like I said, I think he started on it first, but I think it was his second novel. Right at, I think 1932 he put out one. And then I think Grapes of Wrath was, might have been 1939. I don't know if this has, it probably has like a collection of his books and dates on here. But East of Eden is my favorite. And that came out, it looks like also, it doesn't say dates. A lot of books though. So I'm interested to go through the collection of those. If you guys have any recommendations for books, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I would like to read more. Again, it definitely helps calm my mind, helps me get smarter, I think. That's what people say about reading. We'll see about that, But trying to constantly get back to balance with health and life in general. Easier said than done, but really, really want to. I mean, it's a long-term thing with these apps and stuff. Like I see, again, I feel like an old man saying this, but with the social media, with the apps, all this stuff coming out, I literally do see the degradation, if that's a word, degrading of people's well-being. And like their mental well-being is just going down the drain. And then obviously having all that stuff and training your brain to be used to getting gratification in 2 seconds rather than back in the day, we just had to like sit in a doctor's office without a phone. Before cell phones, you just sat there. And you're like, yeah, I mean, I just waiting for my name to be called. And that's just such a more natural human state. And the more in sync with the natural state, the healthier we are, I think. So yeah, just trying to get in habits and routines of healthy eating, exercise, reading, not as much social media, to then be able to be more of who I am, more present, more in the moment, to then be able to be the best comedian that I can be. So yeah, guys, thanks so much for listening to this episode. Honestly, appreciate it if you made it to this far. Even if you didn't, appreciate you tuning in at all. You know what? As much as I'm staying off of social media, if you could follow me on Instagram at Dailey Comedy, that'd be great. I'm not going to be on there a ton, but I will pop on and post things here and there, just because that's the nature of the beast when it comes to comedy. You got to get a following and blah, blah, blah. But other than that, yeah, subscribe on YouTube at Ben Dailey Comedy as well. The podcast come out on YouTube and on Spotify. But even if you're listening, if you could subscribe, whether it's Spotify or YouTube, that helps build the numbers up. And little by little, we can all be one big happy family. And you know what? If we get to 100 subscribers on either platform, YouTube or Spotify, I'll start a book club. Okay? I'll put the work in, start a book club, and then we can have dialogue on books. We can read books, and then we can talk about it, and I'll throw a little taste into the podcast. Little portion will be book club portion. Would anybody I mean, I feel like that might just get demographics 60 and over. That might, but that's okay. I like people of all ages. Yeah. With that said, though, I'm going to end the podcast there. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging around, and I'll see you guys again next week.